What's up, everybody? We're here to go over Dana White's Contender Series Week 3, Pulyaev versus Anderson. Real quick, I'm going to go over the results, the betting results for UFC 305. That card, I made money on this card, so I'm happy with that. The picks didn't go so well. Had a strong start to the card, but then when it got to Santos, that kind of started to put a damper on things. I was glad that Hooker won. I was glad that Kai Kara France won. That's who I wanted to win, even though I picked against him. I knew that at some point, Gamrot's holding on to people's legs and not doing any damage and stuff like that was going to catch up to him. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm glad he lost. Like I said, I didn't really have any serious money on anything. I did have him in like one parlay, but whatever. And I was super happy Kai Kara France won. I was happy to see that. I think he deserves, to be where he's at, and I'm glad that he was able to go out there and show that. And then in the main event, I picked out Asanya to win, and Drickus went out there and got the submission. I thought Asanya looked pretty good at some points in that fight, but I'm not mad at that either way. I could care less. I like both of them, and I'm not a Drickus Duplessis hater. I just thought Adesanya was going to win the striking exchanges and either get a decision or get a knockout. But so it could have been better on the picks, guys. I know. But at least my bets hit. I had a 2-fight parlay that was -125. That was Jack Jenkins, and Keon Song. That was a 1-unit play. That's $1,000 play. So it came out with some good profit there. Even though Santos, ate up a lot of it with her loss. Had a half-unit play on her at -150. She went out there and just, her striking looked terrible. I thought she was a better grappler than she was. I don't think she'll ever really, get up any higher in the... She'll never get past, the top 10 in the rankings looking like that. So, she's good to beat all the... the girls that have bad takedown defense and stuff and terrible striking and whatnot. But, I don't think she's ever going to get up much higher than that. So I won't be putting money on her again. And once I get mad at myself so much because, I always tell you guys, like, it's always women's fights costing me money, and I keep telling myself not to do it. But there's certain fighters sometimes that I feel like, if they get finishes and stuff, I'm like, yeah, man, if they're a finisher, put money on them. And, Santos I was wrong about. And then I had a play on Carlos Prates at -190, 1-unit play, $1,000 play on him. So I ended up coming out of the card with a little over a half-unit profit, after the parlay that didn't hit, stuff like that. But, Carlos really impressed me, and I was surprised he was able to knock out the Leech, because the Leech has never been knocked out before, man. It was really cool. It was really impressive. Kind of felt bad for the Leech, but... Man, Prates looked good, and I can't wait to see who he fights next. And I imagine that I won't be able to get this good of a price on him ever again after that, unless he's fighting maybe a good wrestler or something. Maybe if they put him against a good wrestler, I'll be able to get him at a decent price. But either way, man, let's get into this card. Please like and subscribe, guys. It'll help me out a lot. I'm trying to get up to that 1,000 subscriber mark. I've been doing this for like 2 years, and haven't made a penny off doing the videos. Even though I'm working with the sports book, they don't pay you just for advertising. They pay you if people use your link and sign up, for the book. So I've yet to have anybody do that. But Bovada.lv is a very good book, guys. It's the one I've always used. It's one of the best books out there. There's a few that are competitive with it. I also like Bet Online. I know DraftKings is a good book too. But Bovada is my personal choice. I love their easy cash outs, quick money. They let you cash parlays out early. They got a lot of cool UFC specials, that are available, for the events and everything. So, check them out, guys. And just if you're interested in helping out the channel, man, or if you're just looking for a good sports book, it'd put a little money in my pocket and it helped me out a lot. And, the only reason I do this is because I enjoy helping people out and I want to help people win money. So yeah, check it out. And if you don't want to sign up for a sports book, or whatever, to help out, or you just want to donate, my PayPal and Cash App information is on my YouTube info. So if you ever want to help out, man, but where was I at? Okay, so what I do if you're new to the channel, I go through, give out my picks for each of the fights. At the end of the video, I give out my bets. I'm available on iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff. And my social medias are highkick_fight picks on TikTok and Instagram. There's a Facebook group, High Kick Fight Picks on Facebook. Feel free to post anything MMA related in that group. Post your bets. I love seeing everybody's stuff. I want to bounce ideas off of each other. The goal is to help everybody win money. So let's get into this card, man. I was kind of looking forward to a week off. I almost didn't do this card because there's fights this weekend, but we got next week off. But I do everything, all my videos like 2 weeks ahead of time. So really, I should have had a week off. But I've already started doing the Contender Series videos, and there are only 5 fights, so figured I'd go ahead and do it, man. But first up, we got Jack Duffy taking on Jose Ochoa, or is it Ochoa? I think it's Ochoa. Sorry. Jack Duffy is 28 years old. He's 5'7". Don't have a reach on him. He's 7-0. It's coming out of Uriah Faber's organization, and those guys haven't really been doing well thus far. 2 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission. So all but one of his wins have been by finish. Doesn't show any amateur fights on Tapology. The guy with the best record he's fought was 13-6, and that guy since has lost 2 more fights after losing to Duffy. So, I don't know if at least that guy has experience, even though his record is really bad. Seems to be a very good grappler. Keeps heavy pressure on guys. Unorthodox striking. Been doing jiu-jitsu for many years. Has a little bit of wrestling in his background in high school, I think. And he's been training with Team Alpha Male, which means he's at a really good camp. Good doubles, single legs. His last fight was just him out grappling and controlling his opponent for 3 rounds. He's the underdog on Tapology. I'm curious what the betting lines are going to look like when they come out. But he seems to be pretty legit, man. He hasn't fought a lot of tough competition, but I don't think either of these guys really have yet. In the striking, he's very wild, lots of flying attacks and crazy stuff, but he mainly uses them just to kind of crash into his opponent and get a takedown, So I could see him winning this fight, with his grappling. It's completely possible if he can get a hold of Ochoa and stay on him. But he's probably definitely going to be outmatched in the striking here. And Jose Ochoa is 23 years old. He's 5'7". Don't ever reach on him either. 7-0, 6 wins by knockout, 1 win by submission, 100% finish rate, 3-0 as an amateur as well. He's coming out of Diego Lima's camp. He's fought in some organizations I'm not really familiar with. Had 1 fight in Combate, and his last fight was in the LFA. I'm familiar with those. And his last fight was his first submission win as well, over a 5-0 fighter. So. But he has very good kickboxing, very fast hands, good combinations, nasty knees in close, great Muay Thai all around, really. And this fight will come down to how well he can deal with the grappling of Duffy. And these guys are the same height, but Jose just looks so much bigger than most of the guys he's been fighting, 125. He landed a jumping front kick in his last fight and really hurt his opponent. I really like this guy, man. I think he's really good. I don't think he's fought as good of a grappler as Duffy yet, so it is a little scary, but the skills on the feet are definitely going to go to Ochoa here. Y'all know I chase a lot of dogs on the Contender Series cards. It kind of costs me sometimes, but I don't bet any super serious money on these. I put together like a parlay for the card, maybe 2. I do think there are some solid spots, possibly if you're interested in really betting on these. But I'm going to pick Ochoa to win by knockout round 2, but I wouldn't be surprised if the better grappler was able to control this fight and get the win. If this is probably a fight that I would flip flop on the 2 parlays, just because these guys, I think both these guys will eventually end up in the UFC. I think Duffy's really good, a really good grappler, but it's possible, man. It's possible he could get a hold of Ochoa and get him down and hold him down for 3 rounds, or possibly get a submission. He is pretty good, but I can't say he's super high level grappler just because of the lower level of competition that he's fought. I could tell by Ochoa's striking and the technique, just because, when I trained when I was younger, that was what I loved to do, was strike and everything. And I was the kind of guy that, even though, I never fought amateurly, we had fights in the gym, basically MMA fights in the gym, trying to see who could beat each other. But I was the kind of guy that never wanted to do the jiu-jitsu and the grappling or the wrestling, because all the wrestlers would just take me down all the time. But I was always wanting to spar and kickbox, so I pay close attention to that stuff. That's why you always hear me talking about how well guys use their jab. The certain things that they do and the striking and everything. And Jose Ochoa is the real deal, and he's probably only going to get better. He's only 23 years old, so I'm going to go with him to win this fight, man. Next up, we got Malcolm Wellmaker taking on Adam Bramhald. Um, Malcolm Wellmaker is 30 years old. He is 5'9". Don't ever reach on him on here. I should have looked for it when I was doing my notes, but 7-0, and he has 3 wins by knockout, 2 wins by submission. Went 9-1 as an amateur as well. So a good bit of experience, man. And per usual, like most of these guys, he hasn't fought any tough competition. So one of the fights that I watched of his, he fought a guy called Zachariah Kamara, and he won by split decision. But I got to say, man, that Kamara guy looked like a damn good striker, and it was a close. It was a split decision. Like I said, I'm not so sure that he won that fight. He definitely lost the first round, but he did get the decision. He's definitely a very skilled technical guy, good head movement and footwork. He's heavily favored on Tapology. In his last fight, he was getting controlled with the body lock a little bit, but he just kept popping back up every time, kind of hard to take down. Uses his jab very well, stays calm, doesn't overexert himself, very patient, just looks for his openings. Just not a whole lot to go off of as far as he doesn't put out a ton of volume, does have the power for sure, but it was hard to. A lot of his fights look the same, and he's just very patient and move, kind of plodding forward and just looking for openings and trying to land his shots, man. And he definitely has good cardio. He's in good shape. Don't have just like I said, there's a limited amount of stuff on these guys, man. So it's not like these UFC fighters where I can do 5 minutes on each guy or whatever. But he seems to be pretty good. The organizations that he's fought in, I don't think I was familiar with most of them. Yeah, these aren't ones that Icon FC, but those were early on in his career. I'm not really familiar with that area of the country and their MMA organizations, honestly. So I don't really, have too much to say there. But he's taking on Adam Bramhald. He is 30 years old, 5'10", 13-2. I guarantee you he probably has a reach advantage. He's a very tall, long guy for the weight class. 3-1 as amateur as well. Lots of experience on a pro level. 6 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission. Coming from the UK, man, a lot of good fighters coming out of there lately. We saw the guy on week 1 of the Contender series, Kavanaugh, man, looked amazing, and the guy that Kavanaugh beat, that he knocked out, is a really good fighter. He's a young guy, very young guy, and has a lot of room for growth. But Antoine Ho's a very good fighter, so it sucked seeing him get knocked out like that. But he's only 23 years old. I think he'll be back and he'll eventually be in the UFC because he is very good. But that just shows you how good Kavanaugh is, man. And Kavanaugh's coming out of the same area, that this guy is. So, Bramhald's fought most of his career in an organization called Cage Steel. I'm more familiar with Cage Warriors, but, it seems to be a pretty, big organization over there. Tall, long guy for the weight class, like I said. Good check left hook. He's definitely fought the tougher competition. Good counter striking, good leg sweeps, good Muay Thai. Very good Muay Thai. You can definitely tell he has a strong Muay Thai base. Which is kind of way different from the way that Wellmaker strikes. Good combinations, tend to throw at least 2 at a time. He's a champion in that organization. He's on 11-fight win streak, and I'm actually really surprised he's not a favorite on Tapology. And I'm hoping he's an underdog on the betting line because I think I'd be interested in putting a little money on him there. I definitely would have him in the parlays, but I'm going to go with him to get the win here. Go watch a few of his fights, on both these guys, and I think you'll understand what I'm saying. He's very good. I did see some fights where he got hurt and he battled back from adversity and got the knockout and got the finish. And one of the fights, I don't remember which one it was, man. Him and this guy were just knocking each other senseless back and forth, and Adam finally got the finish. But yeah, he got rocked a few times in that fight. It might have been this guy. I don't remember. I think the guy was Brazilian, but I could be wrong. But either way, it was a crazy fight, and yeah, man. He's been holding out for a shot in the Contender series, and I don't remember if he was supposed to fight before on the Contender series and got injured. I think he might have been. Let's see what this is here. No, I guess not. I guess I'm thinking of somebody else. But yeah, I'm gonna go with him to get the win. I mean, he's going to be looking for a knockout, trying to get this contract. So I guess I'll go with him to win by knockout. But it's possible he could just steal a decision, with his striking. But he does throw a wider variety of strikes, good calf kicks. He's going to give Wellmaker a lot to think about. But Wellmaker is really good as well, man. And it's hard to be super confident in these picks, based on what these guys, the competition they've been fighting and everything. Next up, we got Marco Tulio taking on I don't know if that's Matthew Duclos. And Marco is 29 years old. He's 6'1" with a 74.5-inch reach. Stop beating me up, guys, over the damn names, all right? I'm more focused on who's going to win the fight. I forget, I forget about the names. I'll get them down when I'm doing the notes. I'll watch the tape, and I'll hear how people are saying them, and then it just completely leaves my mind because I'm on to the next fight. So stop giving me such a hard time. Where was that? Marco's 29 years old, 6'1", 74.5-inch reach, 11-1, and 1-0 on the Contender series. He's fought some tough guys, man, with a lot of experience. 7 wins by knockout, 1 win by submission. Trains at Shoot the Box, Diego Lima. He beat a tall, long guy, a good kickboxer last time on the Contender series, and he's very good, man. He's well-rounded. He deserves to be in the UFC, I think. I thought he should have got the contract, last time. Very strong with his body lock, good trip takedowns. He's on a 7-fight win streak. Cardio looks good. Fights well in the clinch. His striking, I wouldn't call it super technical. Kind of throws big shots, but he throws long combinations, and he makes the reads, and he was having a little bit of a hard time in the striking at first in the last fight in the Contender series, and towards the end he was, really extending his combinations and landing the big shots, knocking the guy's mouthpiece out. He's got the power. I think he's pretty good, man, and I think he's got a good shot here in this fight. And he's taking on Matthew. He is 6'3" with a 77-inch reach, 6'2". He's got 5 wins by knockout, no wins by submission. He had a fight in Bellator and he lost by knockout. Since he's won 4 fights by TKO. He's taller. He's going to have a 2.5-inch reach advantage. He's a good kickboxer, good counter striking. His last fight was stopped by the ref for an eye poke, kind of a bad stoppage thing. He didn't actually win that fight. Pretty much the only thing that happened in that fight is the guy dropped down for a leg lock on him and he defended it, and then something happened with the guy's eye and it was over. So I don't know why he's getting a shot off of that, but hasn't fought anybody with a lot of experience, good spinning attacks, fights well from both stances. He's probably the more technical, better striker, throws a wider variety of cleaner, straighter punches and stuff, but he has looked good, but he hasn't fought anybody with any skills yet at all, really that I've seen, and the best guy he fought was 3-0. And while I wouldn't be surprised if he got a knockout win here, he is a good striker. I do think that the more experienced guy who's fought the tougher competition will probably get the win here, and I think Tulio can use his grappling and beat this guy the same way he did the last time on the Contender series. That was another tall striker, and he handled that pretty well. So I'm going to go with Marco to win this fight. I don't know if he gets a finish. Maybe he can get a knockout. I hope so. I hope he gets a contract. He deserves it. Next up, we got Michael Aswell taking on Grad. And Michael Aswell is 23 years old. He's 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. He's 9-1, and he's got 5 wins by knockout, never been finished. Fought his whole career in Fury FC. Beat 11-4 guy last time out. Went 5-1 as an amateur. He's very young, man, and he's fought into a 4th round before. He's favored by 65% on Tapology. He's fighting a guy here who has fought at 155 in the past, so that's, while they're the same height and have the same reach, I wonder if Bogdan's going to be the much bigger guy here or not. He's got good boxing. He can be pretty wild sometimes. He's definitely got big power, uses his jab well, nice 1-2, good basics. Doesn't throw a ton of kicks. Haven't got to see much of his takedown defense, none of his wrestling really. No wins by submission, so he may not be as well-rounded as Bogdan. And going back to his one loss, which was just 2 fights ago, he got out-grappled badly. So there is some holes in his game there. Doesn't check calf kicks either. Got his back taken the whole first round in that fight, and got out-grappled in the third a little bit too, and just kind of got worn on a little bit. But yeah, he has good boxing. That's what a lot of his fights look like, is just him kind of using, his boxing on guys. And he's taking on Grad. He is 28 years old, 5'8", with a 70-inch reach. He is 13-2. He went 9-5 as an amateur, but has done well since turning pro, man. And this guy is a finisher, man. 8 wins by knockout, 3 wins by submission. Never been submitted, was knocked out by Tom Nolan. That's his only finish loss as a pro. And since his fight on the Contender Series, he's won 2 more fights, one by knockout, one by submission. He's fought some guys with a lot of experience, at least. He has an advantage there. Has a big advantage in experience himself. And keep in mind, he didn't really even get going against Tom Nolan. It was a wild fight. He went out there and left openings and got caught. And Nolan was way bigger than him, And this fight being at 145, I think Bogdan's probably going to look a lot better. He seems to be well-rounded. He definitely throws a wider variety of strikes. I've actually seen him use wrestling and get submissions in some of his fights. He has a good Kimura, dangerous off of his back, good spinning heel kicks. He's fast at throwing up the triangle off of his back, nasty ground and pound, uses good wrist control. And I do think I've seen a lot more of a well-rounded game from Bogdan here. So I actually am going to go with him to get the win here and take it to win by submission. And he showed all the skills. If you go and watch the tape on him, the only thing that worries me a little bit is the weight cut, but he's not a huge lightweight anyway, so I'm going to take Bogdan to win this fight by submission. I think he's probably going to, get the body lock, wear on Aswell, and try to get him down and look for a submission. Next up, we got Andre Pulyaev taking on Liam Anderson. We know very little about this Pulyaev guy, man, and there's no stats on him. 26 years old, 8-2. He went 3-5 as an amateur, so that's not a good look. And he's a finisher. He's got 5 wins by knockout, 2 wins by submission. He's fought terrible competition all the way through, except for the guy who knocked him out. One thing I've noticed about a lot of these guys that come onto the Contender Series, is they all have a win over this guy, Oliveira. And I don't know why the UFC, I guess the UFC's just signing guys that beat this guy. And his record is 39-24 right now. And I don't know. It's just weird. I see this guy on a lot of their resumes, and usually the fight before the Contender Series or a few fights before, So I find that interesting. Marco Tulio beat him, probably right before his fight on the Contender Series, which is interesting. So, where was I at? So most of his fights, it's kind of hard to find fights on him. All his fights have been in Russia, so I have no idea what the commentators are saying about him or anything. He seems like a very tall, long striker, good kickboxer, fight southpaw. He beat a 2-1 guy in his fight before last. It's hard to find a lot of his fights. I saw a couple. The UFC should be trying to sign this guy right here instead of this dude. This guy, the guy that knocked him out, 8-0 right now, all knockouts. And he looks very good. I don't know why the UFC's not trying to get him. He'll probably have a reach advantage here, but he does struggle. I'd like to see him fight a good wrestler as well, but he struggles if you keep him backed up against the cage and kind of unload on him. That's how that one guy knocked him out. I'm not sure why he's so heavily favored here. I guess because he's Russian. He's taking on Liam Anderson. He is 29 years old, 6'3", with a 74-inch reach. He is 6-2, 2 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission. He went 8-0 as an amateur as well, all finishes. He got knocked out in his first pro fight, but hasn't been finished since. And I watched him take down and submit a guy who was 6'6", hasn't fought any good competition either, though. Really, has decent wrestling, has good submissions, has a good style to beat a guy like Andre. He competed in grappling tournaments, and he's coming off a nasty knockout win, nasty head kick. I think he's got a good game plan, a good style to beat this guy, so I'll take Anderson to win this fight by submission. Didn't see all that much I like from Pulyaev. He's a good striker and all. I wouldn't be surprised if he won, but I'm going to go with Anderson to win. And that's all my picks, guys. Do what you will with them. I'll probably just have a parlay or so on this one and whatnot. But, man, y'all have a good one. Hope you win some money. I'm out of here.